Alright, may or may not be a long video, don't know. Don't know what I'm going to say yet, so post a link to part 2 if there is one. Just going to go over this psychology philosophy thing, because there's just so much of this crap going on here. I mean, there's so much blending of these two things, like how do I live my life? Like, what's the best kind of mental attitude to have to get through life, or to make life all charming and fun and interesting and all that shit, and as individuals, or even how to play with your psychology so you love everybody else, so you'll be kinder to the world because you love everybody, and philosophy, which is where do we come from, what the fuck are we, is there anything for us to get accomplished here, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff, kind of cold hard reality, facts, figures, that kind of shit, versus this gooey, emotionally tainted, how do we make our lives better? How do we get through this hard struggle of life together? How do we do it? That's really bullshit. It's not philosophy. It's personal lifestyle strategy, or even communal, but it's not philosophy. Just because you're doing it as a group, this love thing, it's still not philosophy. Love is not philosophy. So anyway, our brain is just a state of brain. I mean, there's a state of mind you have, and then you can change that state of mind throughout different periods of your life. So, like, let's say last night my roof got blown off, and it rained in here and snowed and shit. My computer got ruined, and all my shit's ruined, and I got no insurance, but I got to file special papers with the government to try to get some money to get my roof back on, because I got no roof, and I'm sitting here in the cold with no roof. And my life has just gotten completely shitty. Now, it didn't happen, so I'm like, I should be really happy, right? It didn't, because that didn't happen. And like, if magically somebody would show up with an automatic roof kit and put my roof back on and fix my computer and put all my little papers back, like the Cat in the Hat or something, just fix the whole mess, clean it all up for me. I'd have a really good day, because I'd be just like so aware of the fact that, man, I just dodged a big fat bullet. That was scary, and I escaped the scariness. But it's all just a state of mind. It's just all a way of approaching your day, approaching the stuff that comes because you create an attitude in your head of appreciation versus, some other state where you're demanding more from life or something, where your expectations are higher. You've just basically lowered your expectations, and therefore increase the probability of your happiness or comfort or joy. Just go for it. If all you want out of life is to be happy, then just keep messing with your brain. Make yourself starving, and then you're going to enjoy the meal. And it's all, like I said, just a state of mind. It's all. I'm not saying you control every bit of it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not that silly. I'm just saying that much of it you can just rationalize your way into a better perspective. A perspective is going to make you more capable of enjoying what you have rather than wanting more, and being appreciative of what you have, and therefore very happy that things aren't much worse and all that crap. It's just the simple, in its simplest form, it's just the thing where you just imagine somebody with cancer or somebody going through some other thing and just say, God damn, I'm so grateful that I'm not going through that shit. So yeah, I gotta smile because life ain't so bad. But that's fucking not philosophy. That's like I said, that's personal psychology crap. And to me, it's not that it doesn't have any meaning, but I'm just, personally, I'm not interested. That the happiness equation's interesting. I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to be suffering, and it's really hard to think your way out of that. Once you're really blighted with something harsh, it's not that easy to minimize the harshness, because it's, infecting your every thought is going through that filter of pain and unpleasantness, and it's really, you can't even think, you can't even, it's just a terrible place to be, and you're just not going to be able to get out of that with a few little happy thoughts. So anyway, I guess sort of this drug thing comes into this whole thing, because that's basically also doing the same thing but chemically. It's just making you more appreciative of, oh, color is so beautiful. I mean, just making you more capable of appreciating. So it also goes to this whole, a little bit to this conversation about what desire is and how much of a role it should be playing in how we perceive the value of life, because it is just arbitrary. I mean, what gets you off, does vary from person to person. I mean, what the magic goal is. Professor Anton sort of described that a little bit in his last video. I don't know, maybe a little. I mean, people had this, describe your perfect day. He didn't exactly describe it. It had a few bikinis in it for my taste, I think. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's this want thing, the desire thing, and creating deprivation. I mean, it really does make it so much better if you're good and deprivated. The intensity, the passion of it all, and how much of that deprivation though has to be really hard for you to really appreciate. And and it's hard to just create that as as a construct without having to experience it. You can't. It's not that easy just to artificially create a sense of it, or the feeling of it. And I guess it's sort of the way our brain remembers things. Because I guess I sort of noticed that some of my best memories, I mean the firmest ones, but kind of pleasant ones, are of the women I didn't get. It's funny. I'm not saying the woman I got was bad, or the women. Just that the ones I didn't get are still stronger memories, because there was such a desire, and it was never quite, it doesn't have any story tied to it, so it doesn't have any dull ending, any, broken ending. There's no broken context, no negative tied to it, so all it's made out of is the desire I had, and so it's sort of a better memory in a way, because it's still just made out of that positive want thing, rather than the negative, oh, she nagged me to death for 17 years and I wanted to cut my head off thing. So that's eliminated from the memory. And it's also, I was thinking just about how, how do you, having that deprivation, years of it, it just makes it so meaningful, so powerful. But yeah, that deprivation is hard labor. It's not, it's not fun. But after the deprivation, all you are is a state of mind. I mean, it's like in the past. And so if you can just artificially create that perception of deprivation, or somehow transfer it, into a brain without the actual event. Like if we could just artificially transfer memories into our head, like, oh yeah, I went through the Holocaust. That would give us a whole new perspective, because we could just, that memory would change our sense of need and desire and want and what we appreciated. And so, I mean, that could be an interesting way of manipulating human psychology, is just to inject a memory that would create appreciation. And unfortunately, appreciation, sometimes has to be built that way. I mean, you can, it's that whole thing where you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Yeah, sometimes they just, they got to find the water themselves. I mean, they got to go through the experience to get the full benefit of it. You can't just explain to them that, well, having cancer sucks, and somehow you have to, they have to go through it before they get it. As stupid as that is, but that's just the way it is. It's hard to sometimes convey appreciation for risk or appreciation for something else until people actually experience the downside. I mean, if there was a 1 in 1,000 chance of something happening that was very bad, like losing your leg, and you never had only one leg, and so you might just say, oh well, it's only 1 in 1,000 and it's not so bad. But that's because you never went through it, so you have no real appreciation for it. Yeah, no, it's a lot worse than you think, because it's like every fucking day you wake up with no leg, it's a real bitch. And that's just, unfortunately, that's part of what life is. But all of this shouldn't matter, because philosophy really has to depend on constructing phrases and words and bits of communication, images, whatever it takes to convey an idea or appreciation without experience. Because you really can't transfer experience yet. We can't do it. We don't have the technology for me to take my memories and put them in your brain, or vice versa. So where do I want to go with this? Okay, yeah, I don't know if I'll turn this into a video on the hard philosophy stuff. Just the fact that we really got to make these distinctions between psychology and philosophy. I mean, when are we describing, personal philosophy? I guess that's where the words get perverted. There's this notion of a personal philosophy, which is just a personal life strategy, and it really shouldn't be called philosophy, because philosophy should be about the truth, and the truth is not a personal thing.